Hi everybody, it's Sarah the Attic Stitcher. Today's May 1st, 2026, and this is Flosstube 17. This is my April wrap-up. So I actually didn't get a lot of stitching done this past month. April, I only did 7 stitching days out of the entire month. The reason for that, however, is because I spent a lot of time outside in my garden. This is my first spring where life has actually been kind enough that I've been able to get out early enough in the season to do a lot of the weeding and gardening work that I've been wanting to do since I got my house. So I've been enjoying the weather, I've been outside, and I've been gardening, which I think is a fair trade-off for having less stitching time. I've also been reading a little more this past month, so I have 3 books, and for those who are interested in books, I'll share those at the end. So that way, if anyone isn't interested in books, they don't have to stick around for that. But today, my plan is to go over what I stitched on in April, and then I'm going to share about my stitch along that I'm hosting this month. Wings of Hope Sal, and any plans that I have related to cross stitch. And then at the end, of course, I'll share my few books that I have read this past month for those who might be interested. So we're just gonna dive into it. Like I said, I have 7 stitching days. I stitched on 4 different projects on those 7 days, and my most stitched project was Winter Queen by Mirabilia. I did 2 days on Winter Queen, 2 days on Ophelia, and 2 days on my JJK trio. However, Winter Queen got a lot more hours in on the 2 days that I stitched on her because I went on a weekend trip with my mom. I do this twice a year with her, and we get a room at a state park and we cross stitch. Well, I cross stitch. Mom works on whatever project she wants to work on and all of that. So it's a fun time to spend with my mom and enjoy a beautiful state park and cross-stitching. All right. So, but first off, I'm just going to go off. I don't have these stacked in any particular order, but the first one on my lap here is Ophelia from Nora Corbett. This is what she's supposed to look like at the end. I started Ophelia back in January of this year, January 2026, for my birthday month. I am stitching her on a 32 count moss Belfast linen and all call for threads and stuff. I'm stitching her 2/2, and here is where I'm at. I'm just gonna cover my face for a moment so you all can see the full thing here. And for any of you who perhaps follow my Instagram, you might remember earlier in April when I shared a story where I had a kind of mental episode over a mistake that I realized I had made. So I've added new to this is the pink flowers and these purple flowers, some of this vining, and I finished up like all of this vining. I finished up all of this hair, and what I realized is, so where this flower crown is, there's this gap between this section of hair and this section of hair. And what I did when I had finished the hair, because I had worked from the dark colors over, because I came off of this lily pad over this way, and then I worked with the light colors coming back. That's how I went about it. It's probably my downfall. When I came in and started working on putting in this vine, I realized that I was half a stitch, not half a stitch, I was 1 row above, like 1 row higher. This was placed 1 row higher than the rest of the cross stitching. So I was like, oh my gosh, does that mean I'm gonna have to unstitch all of this work that I just finished when I was just getting to the good part of being able to put in some color? I mean, I was like heartbroken that night. I made a story about it, and then I was like, Sarah, you're not going to frog anything until you sleep on this. Because I was like, how can I fix this or fudge this up? Because, you know, I've still got all the rest of her to do, and if this is off, like, that's gonna make everything. So I was just in the, you know, the heartbreak of realizing you made a mistake. So I went to bed, and then when I came at her the next day after getting a good night's sleep, I realized, well, if this is the only thing that's off, and I went and checked and this was all good, if this section is the only thing off, then as long as I anchor off of this, the rest of the project's going to be okay, because there's nothing else in this area that's going to be affected by this being off. So I decided that I was going to work on the flower crown, and I started off of this section that I knew was in the right spot, and then worked my way over. And just wherever the flowers hit this section of hair, that's where it was. So it's kind of fudged a bit, and there's some spots where I'm going to have to pull out the hair color and bring it down to kind of fill it in. But it worked, and it meant that I didn't have to frog out anything. So I am so glad that it worked out. But yeah, there's a couple of empty spots here that I'll be bringing the hair color in to fill it. But otherwise, it worked out well. And like, you know, I might have had to leave, because I realized as I was doing this, not only was I a row higher on this, I was also a row over as well. And, but it all worked out. So that worked out. This is all good. So as long as I'm, you know, everything else that I go from here is going to be fine. So crisis averted, everything was good, and it's so pretty to look at her and see these bright pops of color. So that is Ophelia from Nora Corbett. Now my neighbor has decided to mow. Hopefully that's not too bothersome. My neck is so sore right now. The next project in my stack is Princess Yue from Ashley May's Make It Pink Designs. I stitched one day on this project, and it is just more of the same in that I've been working on the white of her hair and just stitching the single color B5200. So everything on this side of the yellow lines is done. There's no more B5200 to put in on this side of the yellow lines. Now this side, of course, as you can tell, still has more to do, but my plan is to finish up all the B5200, and then I'll go back up to the top and go to the next color and work all of that color in. That seems to be the rhythm that I've gotten with this pattern. I'm stitching this on a 30 count Zweigart linen that's been hand dyed by Jackson Fabric Arts on Etsy. It's in her colorway Jacobstad. And if you follow her on Instagram, you might have been seeing she's dropping new colorways and stuff, and there's some really pretty ones. So I've got two projects, this one and then my Rapunzel also from Make It Pink Designs that I'm stitching on Sarah Jackson fabric. So that one, not too much to see. It was just one evening, and like I said, it's more of the same because I've been working by color in the hair. The next one in my stack is the JJK Trio. This is another Make It Pink Designs. And here it is. So, let me bring it in closer. I'm stitching this on a Picture This Plus Blush Opalescent. In some lighting, you can see the pink. I don't know if it's coming out on camera. It really isn't like the preview picture made it look a little more vibrant and you could see more modeling. Other than in certain lighting, you get a pink tinge. It's more of like just a cream sparkly linen, or not linen, this is a Lugana. But I've been working on the hair here. So JJK is Jujutsu Kaisen. This is an anime. This is artwork based off of the closing for the first season of the anime, which is just a really fun, colorful, bouncy closing. So it's just really cute. So I've been working on it. I've still got back stitching on Noboru I need to finish. And Yuji's hair is what I've been working on. But I don't know if it'll, from the screen, you can really see the because it's this dark pink and this light pink, and then this middle is a blend of the two pinks. And on my screen, you can really see that blend and just how cool it looks. And you can see it with the naked eye pretty well too. I don't know if it'll come out on your all screen, but it's pretty cool to see it come together. And the back stitching, as you can tell, it just brings it to life. I've still got more to finish up on her face. And then of course I've got like her body and stuff. But I was at the point where I was like, I'm going to need to do this, get some stitches in on Yuji, and I can't remember. I feel bad. Why can't I think of his name? I don't know. I can't think of his name. Anyways, I needed to get some of their stitching in so that way I could do the back stitching on her dress and stuff. So, but I got 2 days in on this, and it was pretty much this entire hair section. It's pretty easy. There's a lot of quarter and like half stitches and stuff, so it's not, hold on, I need to pause. Brother's eating a feather. Okay, my housemate is working on putting together a Renaissance fair costume, and she's doing something that's kind of like pirate inspired. So she borrowed a pirate hat from a friend that has a big white fluffy flat feather, not flower, feather. And brother discovered it, so I had to get that before he ate it. So, but anyway, so this was my third project that I worked on in April though. And yeah, it's I think I said 32 count. This is a 28 count blush opalescent Picture This Plus Lugana, called for DMCs. Yeah. Yeah, it's actually been a lot of fun. This was actually the most recent one I've been stitching on, which is why it's still in the hoop and stuff. Usually, when I finish with them, I take them out of the hoop so I don't get creases, terrible creases and stuff. But this is the one I've been picking up the last couple of, this is the last thing I picked up. Let me try and get the words out of my mouth. So this is the last one I picked up. So anyway, so there's that. And that brings us to my last project that I worked on in the month of April, which is The Winter Queen from Mirabilia by Nora Corbett. I started this in January 2024, and as my birthday start. And every year I've been saying I'm going to finish her by the end of the year because I don't want to carry a birthday start into a second year. I have 3 birthday starts going ever since I started doing birthday starts. So that's just how it goes, right? So, but Winter Queen by Mirabilia Designs. I'm stitching her on a 28 count Gothic Lugana from Picture This Plus with all the called for threads and beads and stuff. And here's where she's at. Isn't she just, she's so pretty. It's like, I feel like I still have so much, but it feels like I'm getting closer and closer and closer. So I finished, let me fold her up a little bit here so I can fold her up. I finished the trim along this swath of fabric that I'd been working on. And then, horrible job of folding that up. But I finished that, and then I've been started on this next swath down here, bringing it down. I did realize that down here in this section, I left out a row, but since it's just such a small section that's affected, I don't think it's going to be a big deal for me to just keep stitching it as it is and stuff. So yeah, I think the way that the fabric folds and stuff, the way that Nora Corbett does that is just, it's so cool to see it come to life. Because you just you look at it before you get like the highlights and stuff in, and you're like, oh, yeah, this looks weird. But then you see it come to life and you're like, oh yeah, this is like a satin dress. And it's like, wow, I can't believe that. Try to hold it up. This is quite a big fancy lady here. But this is what I stitched on mainly when I was on my weekend trip with my mom. Me and my mom take twice a year, go on a weekend trip to a state park, and we all bring a craft that we want to work on. I usually have been bringing my cross stitch stuff. My mom will bring whatever kind of project she wants to work on. So I worked on Winter Queen for the majority of the weekend. I think she was the only cross stitch I worked on that whole weekend. So I got 2 very full days of stitching in on her to kind of finish up that swath of fabric that I was working on. Brother, please behave, be kind, be good. Don't. Hold on. They were sleeping when I started recording, but they have decided that now they must be awake, and brother is in his I must do everything, so he's trying to knock over my drink from lunch. But anyway, so those were my cross stitches that I completed in the month of April, or worked on, not completed. I didn't finish anything. So that was that. Now, some details for those of you who might be interested in joining me this month is my stitch along. What are we doing? What are we doing? She's trying to get at the red ribbon in my Phantom of the Opera mask ornament. And she knows that's a string, and she was trying to get it. I have special cats. So, where was I? May is my stitch along that I'm hosting. I hosted this last year. It's called the Wings of Hope Sal. This is a stitch along where, after getting my diagnosis of melanoma and anticipating my surgery to remove the area on my face, excuse me, to remove the area on my face, I was like, I just want something cheery to stitch on. I want something that makes me feel hopeful. And for me, that was a butterfly fairy design that I found from Lenart. I actually have forgot to bring that over with me, and I don't want to pause again, so I'm not going to grab it. But I got that, and then I came up with the Wings of Hope Sal. And the idea of it is we're just stitching in honor and in memory of anyone who has struggled, whether that be through cancer, whether that be through mental health, depression, anxiety, or whether that be through any other thing where we are like struggling, and we just have to remember that we can get to the other side, and we have wings to fly on to get us to that other side. So that was the idea, and the idea was just to stitch on anything with wings. So if you'd like to join me this month, I would love to see what everyone works on. You can share it on Instagram and tag me. I'm at Sarah the Attic Stitcher. I think it's Sarah _ the Attic Stitcher. I think it's the same as my YouTube handle. So terrible that I can't think of it off the top of my head. Now we're just getting into something. These cats, I swear, they don't want me to share this with you all. So, if you want to stitch along with me, that'd be great. I'd love to see it. Please tag me. It's #WingsOfHopeSal, S-A-L. And it can be anything with wings, whether it's a bug, a fairy, an angel, a bird. It can be a quote referencing any of those things, a dragon. There's so many pattern design options out there and stuff, so pick something, whether it's something you've already started or something new that you want to get started. There's really no criteria for what you work on other than let it have some wings. And there's also no like goal of like, oh, I'm going to finish it by the end of the month or anything like that. It's we're highlighting this and we're honoring those who are struggling, whatever they may be struggling with. And this is for the entire month of May. I had thought about doing like challenges or stuff, but I think what I'm going to do is on Instagram, I'm thinking that I will do some posts and stuff or some stories to be like, hey, let's sit and stitch for an hour. If there's interested, I've seen where people have like gone live and stitched live, chatting with people and stuff. I don't know if that's of any interest, but the idea is just, like I said, to stitch on something with wings in honor of anyone we know, or even for ourselves, who have struggled, are struggling, and just need that reminder that hope is a powerful thing. So May, I'm going to be very focused in on my butterfly fairy project that I worked on last year for this stitch along, and I will hopefully be able to show you all some really good progress. I hope you join along, and again, if you do, please, and you have Instagram, please, and you post it, tag me. I'd love to be able to see what everyone's working on and share it. If you have anything as well that you want to, if you don't have Instagram but you want to send something to me, I'll put in my description box my email. If you would like to send me a photo of something you've worked on, and if you're okay with me sharing it on here, I might see about putting in some more effort for my next video and share actual photos in the video and stuff. So I just thought it would be really fun to get to see what everyone is stitching on. So, and it, like I said, this is kind of, it's not meant to be stressful, and it's kind of, I know May is a busy month with other stitch-alongs with like Mania and Mirabilia and stuff, so there's a lot of big stitch-alongs that go on and stuff, so hopefully it's something that you can like combine with something you're already planning to work on this month, because the whole idea is to not get stressed out. It's to relax and cling to hope. So I hope you'll join me. And I think that's all I have. Like I said, my main focus this coming month for May is going to be my butterfly fairy project, and just whatever else I pick up in between. And I'll be back on June 1st with my next Flosstube. So if you're just here for the cross-stitching and you don't care about books, that's fine. I love books. So I'm going to share some of the books that I read this past month. But thanks for joining me. If you're passing along to the next Flosstuber, I hope you all enjoy. But for now, for those who want to stick around, I have 3 books. So I've been struggling with reading quite a bit the last few years. I went from a job where I was working, sorry guys. I went from a job where I was working in a back room, mindlessly hanging clothes, to a desk job where I couldn't have an earbud in. Well, I could, but my job now, I have to use my brain. So I can't listen to an audiobook. There's some days where I can't even listen to music because I can't, like, it's just a distraction. And with audiobooks, I can't follow, I'll go and I'll be like, wow, this has been playing for an hour and I have no idea what's happened. So I went from, reading like 100 books in a year because I was able to listen to a lot of audiobooks working in a back room where no one needed to talk to me and I was just hanging clothes, to not reading a lot because I just didn't have a job and I was doing other things where I wasn't reading. So the fact that I've read 3 books in April was really exciting for me. And we're just gonna share them. I read 3 books. The first one that I finished was The Phantom of the Opera by Gaston Leroux. My housemate treated me for my birthday to go and see The Phantom of the Opera. And I've seen the show before. I went to London and I saw it in London. And oh my gosh, up to seeing it in London in 2019, I had only ever seen a recording of the Broadway production. And the recording does not do it justice at all. Like, oh my goodness. And I just was not entranced by it at all through the recording. But then I saw it live in London and it was absolutely enthralling. And so then my housemate took me to see it again this past March. And it was amazing. So she had a copy of The Phantom of the Opera. So I was like, I want to read that. So I read it. It was very interesting. What did I end up rating it? Hold on. Because it was very intriguing. Very different vibe. Well, I wouldn't say very different vibes. It's a different feeling reading the book versus seeing the Broadway production. I can definitely, there's things that were omitted or changed slightly to fit the format of a Broadway production versus a written book. It actually surprised me when I updated my story graph that it was like, oh yeah, you've read another horror book this year. And I'm like, well, I guess you're right. I guess it does qualify as horror. But it was a very interesting read because the way that he wrote it, as if he's recounting a historical, factual event. So it was very intriguing to read that kind of style. And having seen the Broadway, having been to the Opera House in Paris, it was just a really cool experience to get to read the book and stuff. Raoul is absolutely infuriating and like not likable at all, in my opinion, in the book. I appreciate him a little more in the Broadway production. In the book, I think he's worthless and stuff, but it was still very interesting. I gave it 3 stars. I liked it. I thought it was good. I thought it was compelling to read. So that was that. The next book that I read was In Your Dreams by Sarah Adams. This is based in Rome, Kentucky, which I'm from Kentucky, so it was an area familiar to me. And I enjoy reading a mindless, silly romance every now and then. So this is the fourth and final book. The series starts with When in Rome. This is the first book, and it follows a pop singer who gets stranded in Rome, Kentucky, meets a local pie shop owner, falls in love, and then the subsequent books, the next 3 books, follow his siblings who all meet their match and fall in love. So, like I said, they're fun and enjoyable reads. They're not difficult reads at all. They each kind of follow their own romance trope. This one is kind of like childhood friends fall in love. She goes to big city to make her dreams. It doesn't work out. She comes home. And he, very Hallmark-esque. If you enjoy the mindless predictability of a Hallmark movie, you would enjoy these. I enjoy them. I also appreciate for anyone who, like me, is like, I don't want to read a lot of bedroom scenes. I appreciate that there's not very many, and when there are any, she lets you know what chapters they're in, just because I'm like, I don't want to read a lot of that. I don't care if it's in the book, but I personally don't enjoy reading that. So anyways, but this was cute. This was fun. It's not my favorite of them. I think my favorite is actually the second book, but that is also the romance trope that I am a sucker for. But I gave this 4 stars. I thought it was very cute and made me smile quite a bit reading it and all of that. So, very good. And the last book that I read in April was Uprooted by Naomi Novik. This is a library book, so I'm covering my library's name. I have read Spinning Silver a few years ago, which is also by Naomi Novik. And then I read Uprooted. It's like combining Howl's Moving Castle with Beauty and the Beast. So I very much enjoyed the vibes of it. It kind of felt like an up and down with me on my level of enjoyment. For a while there, I was like, oh, this is okay. Then I went, oh, I really like this. And then, like, through the climax of it, I was like, oh, this is just okay. And then at the end, I was like, okay, I could appreciate that. Like, it was a very kind of up and down. And it's not that I don't think her writing was good or anything. Her writing was good, and I thought the story was great. I was more so frustrated with the romance aspect of it because I'm like, I am a hopeless romantic. I also really love these character tropes that they had and was like, but that's not how I want it to go. So, but I appreciated it. I enjoyed it. It was more of like a 3.25. I liked it. It was good. I've been told that she has some other books that my friends think I would like a lot more than Uprooted. But between Uprooted and Spinning Silver is my favorite of the 2. But Uprooted was good. So, right now, I'm currently rereading Beauty by Robin McKinley. This is like my 10th time rereading it. Like I said, I am a hopeless romantic. I'm a sucker for classic romance stuff. Beauty by Robin McKinley is a retelling of Beauty and the Beast. And yeah, it's kind of like, I don't think it's a great book. I don't think it's a terrible book, but if you enjoy the trope and you enjoy just a light, easy read, I think it's a good one. But that's what I'm currently reading until I can get my hands on the other Bennett sister, because I want to read the book before getting access to read or to watch the BBC series that's been coming out based on the other Bennett sister, because the clips I've been seeing online look so good. So that's kind of like my reading plans, is finish reading Beauty and then see if I can't get my hands on a copy of the other Bennett sister to read. So yeah, thanks for staying to listen to me talk about my books that I read. And go read and support your local library, because it's great to have access to books like that without having to spend your own money. So anyway, thanks for spending some time with me. If you made it here to the end, are you reading something? Let me know. And I will see you all on June 1st with my May wrap up. And if you want to see me more often, then go follow me on Instagram, where I'll hopefully be posting more updates throughout the month as I work on my Wings of Hope cell with my butterfly fairies. So thanks for spending time with me. I hope you all have a great time stitching. Enjoy. What kind of heart is that? There we go. There's a heart. Bye.